Employees at the Department of Veterans Affairs have about a week to get vaccinated before disciplinary actions begin. The VA issued its own vaccine mandate months in advance of the federal requirement. Jonathan Alboum is Federal Chief Technology Officer at ServiceNow. He's former Chief Information Officer at the Agriculture Department. Jonathan, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Nice to see you. So the VA was kind of ahead of the curve, and now all agencies are starting to deal with the same process of getting everybody vaccinated. Can we see the VA as kind of a case study?
Well, I think there's a lot that's coming that's visible to agencies that they can be thinking about as they seek to understand the vaccination status of all of their employees. So we have tight timelines, not just at the VA, but across government. By November 22nd, all federal employees need to be fully vaccinated, and agencies need to be collecting that information today. By 2 weeks before that is when you know whether or not an employee will be fully vaccinated. Fully vaccinated includes 2 weeks after your second dose. So the time is now for agencies to be developing systems and approaches to collect this information and to very quickly have their employees respond with their vaccination status, their vaccination cards, and establish an agency review and approval process.
As you said, this is a really big process. What's the current system for tracking that information?
Well, I've had the opportunity to work with a number of agencies that are implementing systems for vaccine status tracking, and I've seen a range of solutions, from some agencies building their own technology solutions to others building on top of low-code platforms, and others looking for platform companies of which they already work with to provide purpose-built solutions to meet these exact requirements. And I kind of think of these solutions good, better, and best. You know, if you're working with a company and a platform technology and they're building a solution that meets these exact needs, well, there's some confidence that comes with the fact that this company is responsible for meeting today's requirements and future requirements. These requirements have changed a lot in just a few weeks. You know, a few weeks ago we were dealing with paper attestation forms that were going to be emailed around the agency and maybe stored in an online repository. We're now thinking about vaccination cards being uploaded, being stored for an undetermined amount of time, having potentially complex review and approval digital workflows to support agencies making good decisions, and having an exception process by which agency employees may be able to state a religious or medical reason for not being vaccinated, which is another digital workflow that agencies need to be considering. So as you compound all these requirements, you really need to be looking, in my opinion, at platforms and custom-built or purpose-built applications to support these unique needs.
I'm also thinking that security is going to be a problem, because this is health information.
That's right.
That's not something you want being shared.
That's right. So it's protected health information. So ideally, again, if you have platforms and environments that support a FSMA high categorization or other security controls that allow for the storing of this information, you have a leg up. If you don't need to establish those environments, that's going to take time, and maybe reinforce the need to work with a partner and a platform environment that's already certified at those levels.
How much is all this going to cost?
Well, I think the cost is an interesting question, because there's a lot of cost to consider. So you might have some licensing costs up front, and we're in the middle of a CR, so for some agencies it might be tough to pay for a licensing cost, but the long-term cost could be much higher, because if you're building your own solution, you're going to have to operate and maintain the solution over a long period of time. You're going to store this data in perpetuity, and we know that there are probably new requirements coming. So there's operations maintenance, implementation costs that we need to be thinking about. It's not just the licensing costs. I can't put an exact dollar figure on it. It's going to vary by agency and agency size, but I would caution all agencies to think comprehensively about cost, and not just what does it cost today to buy a software license. What is it going to cost in 2 or 3 years when we are still maintaining these solutions? And by the way, you've had to incorporate these processes into your agency's onboarding process, and other related requirements continue to grow, maybe contact tracing or visitor management, or contractors need to be vaccinated as well. And while those requirements don't fall on the agency today, they may in the future.
I was going to ask you about training, because that's going to increase the cost.
Right.
I mean, is this something that's going to be very simple for your IT professionals to just pick up and work with, or do you have to train them to learn how to use it, to maintain it?
Well, ideally, agencies are using technologies that support, really great experiences for the people that have to interact with them and upload information. Now we're using, consumer-grade technologies, maybe mobile technologies. So hopefully the user interfaces are intuitive and we can do it simply. I think the training, is maybe on the review and approval process. How are agencies going to make decisions about which exemptions they're going to approve? How is an agency supervisor or a group of senior officials in agency going to review vaccination cards to understand whether or not they're valid? I've heard of some agencies are interested in introducing AI, ML, pattern matching kinds of capabilities to do a review of the cards after the fact to look for fraudulent or false cards that were uploaded. This is very complex.
That has been a problem.
Right.
Well, Jonathan, we'll continue to watch this as the mandate rolls out. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Great to be here.